There he is. Sean Foley, I appreciate it. Get you in here. Mr. Foley, how you doing?
I'm good, bud. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Hey, I appreciate the time. I know how busy you are.
No, it's all good, bud. My pleasure.
The Instagram live thing's new for me, as I'm sure it's kind of, I don't know how much experience you've had. I know you did one with Andrew Rice, I believe.
Yeah, that was I couldn't figure it. I'm not good with Instagram, but I get advice from my 9-year-old.
Yeah, social media, we got to look to the young generation, and Instagram for business, for the teachers like us, it's nice because it allows us to communicate, and everybody's home either because of COVID or it's winter. And
it also though is dangerous in the sense that we can't look because someone has 30,000 followers that they know what they're doing. And it's interesting to watch like the repost of players' swings from. I found it fascinating. It's I kind of enjoy just like posting my music. That I enjoy doing that all day, every day, and then just trying to give people some insight on what we're doing. Like I wish everyone would stop with the before and afters. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's just the position.
No, but I remember at one point I would do that in my lesson when I was younger.
Yeah.
This is this and this is this. And then I'll never forget, there was a guy who was from the Bank of Montreal and he worked in Toronto, and I was doing that. And he said to me, I know I'm hitting the ball better than when we started. You're pointing this out.
Yep.
Because you're still trying to prove to yourself that you know what you're doing, and prove to me that he said, so he's like, the insecurity is right. So I know that's not your intention, but helpful things along the way like that, it really gets you to be clear. The fact is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're posting a swing in slow motion. It's the 50th one you took, right?
Yeah.
It's the 50th one you took. I think I'm going to start a new thing. I think every day I'm just going to post like disaster moves of my same amazing players, because the thing is, it's like, don't present the idea that this is easy.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's so hard, right?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, and I've listened to you do some podcasts over the last couple months, and you were talking about, I mean, how many 8-irons are we seeing on this before and after? Nobody's hitting a 3-iron or a driver. It's an 8-iron. And I mean, trust me, I love my 8-iron. It's on my lesson tee, so that's all I hit all day long.
Totally.
Give me 160 and I have money, but give me a driver and it's not so pretty.
And if it was a 2-iron, then you'd be teaching after you finished playing in Mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just, the thing is, it's just, we look at these swings, right? Like people trying to emulate Cameron Champ.
Yeah.
So, big turn, straighten the right leg, lay it down in transition, really open up. He's a freak specimen.
Yep.
He doesn't even know how he does it. So he says, look, I set up to the ball, I have a narrow stance. I feel like when I get to the top of my swing, all the pressure's in my left foot.
Okay.
And then an impact, all the pressure's in my right foot. Now, I've put him on force place before. That's not totally accurate.
Sure.
But he says, and then after that, I feel like every joint in my body turns into a slingshot.
I can tell you not too many people can feel that.
But like, take a look at Henrik Stenson, right?
Yep.
I've been out on tour. This would be my 15th year. I've worked with the best players, and then I'm friends with the rest of them. And I've spent thousands of hours on the golf course in practice rounds with all these guys. He goes internal. He doesn't turn enough. He overshifts, and then it adds cup and transition, and you've never seen anyone hit irons like that.
Exactly. Webb Simpson.
Yeah. So look, do I think that the people that we learn to make our living off, the people we're helping, your 20 handicaps, maybe not. Then using physics and kinetics becomes helpful because they're not athletic.
Yes.
So a lot of things we see in Dustin and Cameron and Rory and Xander Schauffele, I mean, when they were 12, whatever they focused on in sport, they probably would have got to a super, super high level.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's like I said, you have to be careful, but it's not just about posting swings and saying this is money and that's it. And it's like your money, he's money, you're so money. And then you look at the guy's scoring average on the Canadian Tour and it's 77.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the social media thing is, you know, at a certain point, it's like you just got on Instagram and you've talked about it. You've been on here, what, a couple months. And it's almost like now at this point, if we're not on it, we're missing out. So it's like you have no choice.
Well, don't get me wrong. You know, I mean, I can go and see what Scott Cokes posted. I can go and see what Jeff Smith posted. I can go and see what George posted. I can go and see what whoever posted.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. I learn from what I see anyways.
Yeah. It's just, I think a lot of people needed to learn who to follow. Like, where's your information coming from and how is that even going to apply to your game?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, you know, we should be doing these things based on how do you build your business, not how do you get perfect at 5.2.
Yeah, I agree.
So to me, it's like, how much have we looked at even like how humans learn motor skills, or where do you have to be in your head to be able to concentrate enough to lay down this memory?
Yeah.
But we argue about ground reaction forces. So it's like we know so much about things that are not, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that they're not important. I appreciate it. But it's also a reaction force. I mean, we have to remember that.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it, and I've heard, like you said, heard you talk, and you're bringing up guys from the past, the way they taught. And at the end of the day, too, it's a hand-eye game. And you got to use your arms and hands. And you've used the analogy of guys that, you know, come back from war. They don't have any legs, and they can hit it 300 yards.
Yeah, and golf is not playing pro golf is not long drive.
No.
Now I love that stuff. I feel like in the last probably 3-4 years, I was fortunate enough, like in the early 2000s, to meet Jason Zuback, and he explained kind of what he did. But even then, you know, he teed the ball 2 feet or 3 feet off the ground, got on a Swiss ball on his knees, and carried it 330.
That's a freak. Yeah, that's nuts.
But just remember, a golf club's not that heavy.
It's true.
That's the whole thing. I don't look at Bryson's increase in speed as a strength thing. Him and Chris completely biomechanically altered how he generates force.
Which is weird because you look at the guys like, I mean, you look at Cameron. Cameron's obviously an athlete, but he's not jacked like a Bryson. And you look at a guy even like a Tony Finau, when he lengthens his swing, I mean, he can generate a lot of speed too.
Tony's a huge man. The funny thing is he's the smallest guy in his family, but he's the biggest guy. He's got huge legs, long hands. When he grips a golf club, it's like when he stands over a 6-iron, it looks like he's holding a pencil. And I'm like, how can you hit this offline when it's so small?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Tony's probably a very astute athlete. I mean, you watch Tony when he posts something like on Thanksgiving of him doing the Thriller dance.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually good at it. Well, you got to be able to move to do that, right?
Yeah, that's athleticism for sure.
Michael Jackson would have had no issue after 2 years of lessons at having a beautiful pivot, right?
It'd be kind of curious to see what his swing would have looked like if he played golf.
But they can just move, right? And Cameron's a mover. DJ's a mover. Rory's a mover. They're all movers. So you add strength to it. You stiffen tissue. You generate force.
Yeah.
You can do it for a long time, or you can do it in a really short burst as well.
What's amazing to me, though, is how many guys they're not hitting the ball solid right now anyway. And we're up here in Michigan. I know you're from Canada. It's the off season. They're like, oh, I want to get speed, because all they see on TV is these guys speed. So they're just going to swing hard.
Hey, look, the most impressive thing. I'm a fan of Bryson and what he does and how he puts this master plan together, and it's so organized. And who knows where it ends up? But at the moment, he's the most talked about. He's played at the highest level. Him and DJ. It's been really, really impressive. But Bryson last year, and I found this out a few weeks ago, he holds 91.2% of his putts from inside of 10 feet.
It's amazing.
That's 91 out of every 100. So
yeah,
now, granted, it's inside of 10 feet, so I understand. 91% for the whole year. There's thousands of 2-footers.
For sure.
But the tour average from 8 feet is only 50%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane, dude.
And that got no talk. Nobody talked about his putting.
No, but look, it's just like everything, right? Everything is red flashing, dopamine censored breaking news.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember when I was a kid and I used to watch the news. And then when the initial TV station started being news all day.
Yep.
Breaking news was like a real, like, you didn't see it much.
No.
And now it's constant. So we're in this culture that needs to be pleasured by, like, whoa, what did you see that?
Yeah.
And so is someone going to watch Bryson swing 10 times as hard as he can in Como's house, or watch him hole 6-footers?
Exactly. Yeah. Putting's boring. Yeah. I mean, putting, it's a 6-foot putt, no big deal.
It's one.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be one. It shouldn't. I think that we should score it differently, but like a 2-inch putt should not be one.
You sound like Ben Hogan.
Well, that would probably make sense.
I mean, obviously, I heard rumors. You read books. I mean, he wouldn't even putt in a practice round. Just hit balls, hit it to the green, pick it up, and go.
Yeah, make a new game with like a dartboard,
and just get the rings within it,
and just hit it on there, and then go. We'd play in like 2.5 hours because you wouldn't have to line up 2-footers for 4. I would have to aim point my 2-footer for 4 minutes.
It'd be PGA Tour sponsored by Topgolf. Just hit in the rings. No, I mean, you've dealt with so many good players, and most people that are on here and they're going to watch this, they know the guys that you've had. What I find interesting is when I look at the people that I admire in this business, they talk about the golf swing all the time. What I find most refreshing about you is it's more psychology. It's more about, the golfer. And what was funny, when I initially reached out to you and we were talking about coaches camp 2 years ago that Andrew Rice puts on in Savannah, there was a slide that you put up in your presentation from Bruce Lee, and it kind of hit home. It was about teaching. But the big thing was, I was like, that was my favorite part of the presentation. And you responded that everybody thought they were going to get technique. And I find that refreshing because it's like everybody's about the golf swing and angles. But at the end of the day, if something's wrong mentally or they're not there, the golfer is what counts. I mean, that's an area that I don't think is explored enough by coaches.
No, and look, I'm 46, dude. I've been coaching since I was 21.
Yeah.
I might have been like upset and walked out of the room when I was 21 and went, oh man, I thought he was going to talk about golf swings.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, like, most of the people who've been presenting at coaches camps, I was in touch with them 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So as far as my influences from the whole world of golf, it's basically chiros and osteos and sports trainers. And then it's PhDs, Sasho, Dr. Kwan stuff, Mike Jacobs. I've looked at all of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I look at it and I say, is this going to help me help players shoot a lower score, or is this just cool to know?
Yeah.
And so much of it's just so much of it is just not necessary. But I know guys like one of my good friends, John Graham, is a putting coach.
Mm-hmm.
Him and James Ridyard sit up all night and go over. They love this stuff. So look at both of them, right? They've been kind of the same way for a long time.
Yep.
And they stayed themselves, and they didn't sell out and just do whatever. And then they learned, obviously, along the way, the difference between sounding smart and coaching.
Yeah.
Right? I learned it.
Yep.
I still struggle with it all the time. But we're trying to move in the right direction. And now they have a lot of good clients and some very great clients on the PGA Tour. But they know their shit for real.
Yeah, and I have no doubt. It's just like when I look at teaching in a whole, I mean, you have these guys like yourself that are kind of the upper echelon, in my opinion, and you're teaching the world's best. You had Tiger, you got Justin, guys like that. And then you have a lot of teachers at directors of golf, country clubs, public golf courses who are teaching the average guy. So it's like, I'm trying to learn from you because you're teaching the best and you know the most.
And but all of them, except for Cameron, were all on the PGA Tour when I first met them.
Yeah, they're already there, so they're already freak golfers to begin with.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you know, I just saw under the list of names that come up, Paxton O'Connor. You know Paxton?
I don't, but I just saw that. I just saw him come up.
Right. So Paxton's a sharp guy, lovely kid. Well, he's not really a kid anymore, but he worked directly for Butch. And then Paxton also was, you know, told by Butch, like, go out and learn from, you know, from everybody, right?
Yeah.
But Paxton also got to watch Butch. And, I mean, basically, ideally, he knows more than anybody that the key is to get someone to hit the ball well in the minimal amount of words.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, there's still instructors to this day going, oh, Butch Harmon, he does this and this and that. It's like, man, stop. Like, none of us, he will never even say that he knows it all. None of us do.
No.
And I find the more that I know, the less I know. So you got to get to a point where you're like, okay, do I understand the physics of the club and the hands connected to it? Do I understand ball flight laws and spin rates? And now do I understand the idea of a pivot that's in a transverse, a frontal plane, and using extension and flexion?
Sure.
Okay, fine, perfect. Now, theoretically, this is how you swing.
Yeah.
Well, dude, for the swing that I love, a player would have to have so much right shoulder external rotation on the downswing, and then be able to pull their obliques away from their pec.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I don't try it with anyone.
No.
So
nobody can move. Yeah.
A guy asked me the other day, he said, so what do you teach? And I said, whatever the person in front of me needs to improve.
Yeah.
So I could sit there literally, and because I learned from so many people, I could stand behind a guy and go, I wonder what Chuck Cook would do with him. I wonder what Andy Plummer would do with him. I wonder what Dana Dow. I find that helps me get to the common denominator.
Yeah.
Because look, I mean, you know, I haven't seen too many people come for a lesson lately who, if it was the first couple times I saw them, why is the main reason the ball's going offline? Because of the club face.
Yes.
So it's, you know, you kind of start with, and I'm not afraid to change grips. Because we need to think about the grip differently, right? So say I have, now everyone's shoulders hang, I don't have enough room here, but they hang differently.
Okay.
But you don't get many people this way or many people this way, right? So think about the grip.
Okay.
It's pretty unnatural to begin with.
Yep.
We never bend over and play anything sideways holding an object like that, right?
Never. Yeah.
I mean, never, right?
Yeah.
So if the left hand gets too strong, right, then it's an extension. The forearm is internally rotated, all right, or pronated. The humerus is internally rotated. The scap is going to elevate and protract. That's kind of really far away from impact.
Yeah.
So you look at all these young players on tour, and you see a real move to players being more in flexion. But they all grip it like a putter with their left hand.
It's weak, yeah.
Or it's slightly flexed, a little ulnar.
Yep.
Forearm supinated, humerus is completely neutral, and left scap is retracted, not really retracted, but depressed. Man, that's such a better position.
Yeah.
This is all about how you don't let it release or how you release it to make it work. But just think about like the greatest ball strikers of all time. No one had a really strong left hand.
No, not at all. You're right.
So, you know, don't be afraid to change a grip and then change the way they have to use the arms to make the center of mass line up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems like, at least in the last couple of years, because of the success DJ's had and this huge trend towards getting it here at the top. And you look back, way back in the days, Harmon was there even, right? Like in the 50s. But then obviously Hogan had a very weak grip and he had a whole different swing, but he was here at the top. Actually, there.
For like what? For 7 millionths of a second.
Yeah, because the average person, if they're there, they can't do this like he did that fast.
Yeah, but that's because it's a function of the club's momentum still going back, and then just the fact of how quickly that he's in counter rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Just the forces alone are gonna, and then the fact that at Impact he always talked about showing the ground what time it was.
Yeah.
From transition to impact is 2/100ths of a second.
Yeah.
So I think players precede things.
Yeah.
They precede it.
I mean, in your opinion, do you think the average golfer would be better off trying to strive for this as soon as they can?
It depends, though. It all depends. Like, if their right shoulder is no good,
yep.
What are you going to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a combination of being able to not overbend the elbow.
Yep.
Be strong enough out here, have enough mobility this way,
mm-hmm.
and then through the T-spine, and then through the femur. So it's like, no, I don't, who's in front of me?
Bingo. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you said yeah, then it's just the method, right? Then you're like, yeah, everybody's got to be here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I mean, dude. I mean, how do you got to help people in a bunker?
Yeah.
If I see amateurs in a bunker, I mean, if you can teach them how to strengthen their left hand a lot, I mean, that really helps them dump
mm-hmm.
it, throw it.
Big time.
So yeah, when you look at players like this or like this and increasing it,
mm-hmm.
I'm probably not, if there's a bunker shot to save my life,
yeah.
I'm probably going to ask Luke Donald before I ask John Rahm, Morikawa, and Dustin Johnson.
Yep.
They're awesome still, but I'm you know what I mean? Whereas if it came to like hitting a 2-iron in the fairway every time for me, then I'm probably not going to ask Luke Donald.
Nope.
So those things all equate. Like, the problem with golf is such a game of skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think at the professional level, like greenside bunker shots, practicing a greenside bunker shot, you got to know how to do it, but it's quite elegant in how you do it. And then when you're in the full swing, you're trying not to use your hands as much.
Yeah, and what's amazing too is I was listening to Jeff Smith talk, and he said the same thing. He's kind of making that same argument, is like, there's really good ball strikers on tour and just good full swing guys, and then those guys usually don't have the best short game. You look at the guys that have the best short game in the past, like your Seve, Jordan Spieth even, they didn't really hit it great, but they would get up and down from a garbage can. And then you get guys that hit it really, really good. But when you combine them both, now you got a top 5 player. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah. No, look, of course. I mean, ball striking is 175 to 350 is the game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bryson did the 91. I'm not talking about the guy who played like the second best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about there's 125 guys who keep their card.
Yeah.
So would I rather be able to hit my 5-iron 20 yards further and 25 feet higher?
Mm-hmm.
Or would I rather make more 8-footers?
Yeah.
Just over the length of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Over the length of the year. Because having an 8-footer for birdies semi-rare. Doesn't happen like 8 times around.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, it all depends, but I think when you look at the top, then no player has a glaring weakness.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if they're on the top, they're there for a reason. I mean, I would say even in his prime, if I think of a guy like Tiger, like looking back at it when I would watch him, his miss was be with this driver. And then I thought like his go-to, and this is, I'm guessing, I mean, you know him, you taught him, like his go-to was the Stinger 3-wood. And
who's that?
Tiger.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So I mean, Tiger was obviously great short game, good putter, good ball striker, the best iron player that we've probably ever seen. I mean, iron game like no other.
Yeah, but the thing is here's what happened, right? with Tiger and his driver swing. If we had strokes gained off the tee when Tiger was 21 and 22 and 23 and 24 and 25.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryson lost 4 balls at Augusta and gained 7 strokes off the tee.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So
that's ridiculous.
If Tiger, I mean, you know, back in the day, he hit pitching wedge into 11 at Augusta. So if we had strokes gained,
yeah,
I don't think it would have got so in his head about that he hit it offline.
That's true. I mean, yeah. So go there. Do you think it was in his head? Did he have it in his head a little bit that he almost had the driver yips?
No, hell no way. No chance, dude. I mean, when it got really bad, I think, was when he started getting the left wrist bowed and laid off and long.
Yeah, done.
That's anybody. But at the same time, when he was 3/4 to semi-full, from 8-iron to 5-iron, no one's been better.
Yeah.
So I think when he was at Stanford and he first came on tour, I loved that driver swing.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
But that's the thing is, it's, you know, like I said, because everything was about fairways and greens, that's just the belief system of the culture you grow up in.
Yeah.
But if we had strokes gained, he would have been the #1 driver on tour.
Yeah.
No.
That basically, you know, it's a 3-wood nowadays, and he just smoked it.
Yeah, but you got Cameron, DJ, Rory, Bryson. I'd say those are the longest, right?
Yep.
You know, obviously Brooks and John Rahm, and some are from efficiency, some are just pure speed, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Cameron's burning it out at 3 down. But why not?
Yeah.
Why? Imagine hitting it a 7-degree launch at 3,000 spin that still carries 320.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, but it comes in like a plane, dude. It rolls forever.
Yeah.
Once it starts, it's not in the air for that long. It just gets there so fast. So it's like, I've never seen anybody ever hit it so good into the wind as this kid. It's incredible. I mean, he's always been. He's always, I've done a good job of never messing with his move and just making his skills better.
Yeah. And I think that's always the fear, right? When you get somebody that's has so much talent, has already reached that level, it's like, I just don't want to mess them up.
There's my buddy Rick Gilo right there from Nike. That's my guy right there. And Terry Rolls above. Terry Rolls, you need to get Terry Rolls to do one of these with you. That is one of the smartest. Terry's one of the smartest dudes I've ever met. Me and Terry's, this is for Terry because he knows that's how we roll.
Love it. Love it. You know, I mean, when you're doing these and you're working with those guys at that point, when it's like somebody like Cameron or some of these guys that you're working with, and I heard you mention this, if you're with a guy for 2 hours, like how much are you talking to them about their life and how much is actually swing? Like, tell me like kind of a practice day that you would have had with one of your guys.
Well, today I started with Ben on at 8 o'clock over at his place at Lake Nona. I've been working with Ben for 2 months, so I've known Ben for a long time because my roommate on tour, Dr. Craig Davies, is Ben's therapist, chiropractor and trainer.
Yep.
So, nice. Basically, started with Ben. Ben's amazing. That dude can flush it. But, you know, he kind of hit a rut. He's pretty much self-coached. He worked with lead for a long time.
Okay.
Didn't see him much. Pretty, you know, knew what he had to do and do all that, and then kind of stopped doing it and just kind of took it on his own. What short game is out of this world. He's not putted well, but everything goes in phases, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, Bryson was not. Bryson was 185th 3 years ago, so there's got to be a way.
Yeah.
Look, if you want it bad enough, dude, there's a total solution.
Yep.
That just shows how much you want it, is what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
When Justin Rose told me he wanted to be #1, I completely believed him. I've heard a lot of people say it.
Yeah.
But I fully believed him.
When those guys make a change, like, I mean, my big thing is how often are you working with it? Do you just doing tour guys, or do you still get the average golfer once in a while?
Yeah, not.
I would think so.
I have a 12 and a 9-year-old son.
Okay.
So it's not, and my wife. So it's not that I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's just that, dude, it's a balancing act, man. This is crazy. People think they want to do this, and I want them all to do it. I've been very fortunate, but I've definitely chose my hard, man.
Yeah.
This is not, it's not easy. I like it not easy, but it's just not what it appears to be.
I mean, you're on the road how many weeks a year? Not COVID.
Probably like 17.
Okay, that's not bad.
But well, it used to be like 34. But
that's a lot.
And that's kind of what it has to be. I mean, you got to be committed. Yeah. And that's all over the world, dude. China, Dubai, and it's all great. But I could literally go back to all those places and say it's the first time I've seen it because I've seen the restaurant and the hotel and the golf course, right?
Yes, you didn't truly see it. You saw golf, right?
I think I'm in Miami when I'm in China. I mean, it's like, you didn't even know. But I think the point, like, with someone like Ben, his right foot's turned in. And so we talk about internal hip rotation all the time.
Okay.
But it's very important that the tibia and femur are able to rotate clockwise. If I'm going to create torque in the ground, those bones are so important. They're so important, right? If those bones don't move, those things are going external while my hip's going internal. It's really not easy to do.
Sure.
But so when your foot's turned in, I don't think it has to be turned out a ton. It depends on different people.
Yep. So
some people stand super flared out. I think for a lot of amateurs, it might help to flare the right foot more so they could do enough in their backswing to give them 2/100ths of a second to have a chance.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when people are limited, when they open their left foot up too much, they can't make a big enough backswing. And overall, like, so many people do just have really short backswings.
Yeah.
And look at, what Phil Mickelson showed us for all these years, how, and VJ, of how you can kind of be up against Schitt's Creek, but be great because you have so much length and time to use your elegant hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Sam Snead, he was nice, long, and then they play and they have that length well into their career. And you're the opposite.
Look, dude, when you have time,
yeah.
So those rhythmic swings were really long, and they imparted force on the club for a longer time. You see John Rahm, he takes it back to here, and it's fast and dramatic. I just think most people would have an easier time if they lengthen their backswing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's kind of how they do it too, or whatever. But I think that I think when you look at it, like, Ben's pure. Like, he flushes it. He can hit 3-irons straight up in the air like Jason Day. He hits it higher than Jason Day. And drives it good. But his club face has got too open.
Okay.
And he's got too much frontal this way in the backswing. So his right hip is too high.
Yep.
I know for some people they love a high right hip. I don't like it for everybody. We'll put it like that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, are we bent over that much that we should have such a difference in the inclination of the pelvis? If I was playing golf at waist high and made a backswing and then just got in my posture, I'm not like massively tilted and extended and everything, right?
No.
If we're talking about true rotation.
Yes. No.
So being able to get Ben to pivot a little cleaner and then just get the face more square, that's what we're doing. Now, my job is to entertain him for 1 year as we only do that.
Yep.
And I can entertain. I'm a good entertainer. So that's important, man. You're out together after good days, mostly shit days. It's golf. And you got to be there to be like, look, let's go. Yeah, but that's not really working for me. Well, that's fine. Let's go.
But you're doing that with one of the best players in the world. And what I find, and I guarantee you a bunch of the teachers that are listening to this find, and I know the guys I talk to, is like, I'll give a lesson today, and I'll see the guy next week, and we're hitting inside in a net. He's taking these lessons. He's not doing anything at home. And then we want something new to talk about next week. And it's like, I'm just going to repackage the same thing that he needs to be doing to make the change. So, I mean, the toughest thing I think for us is you have more accountability because this is their career, right? So
yeah,
like,
but you know what though, dude? They're not paying me to tell them what they want to hear.
I know.
And sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I love my guys. I mean, I love everybody, but I love my guys. But you know, if you could talk to a few of them, they would tell you that I will definitely get up in their business because, look, we're a business.
Mm-hmm.
We need to keep emotion out. We need to keep drama out. We need to keep bullshit out. Like it's a business.
Yep.
Now, what happens because you do it with people for so long, you technically become friends with them. I think it's fine. Like people say, never do business with a friend. How many people do you think we could meet who are really, really successful, who did their business with their friend? Probably a lot.
A lot of them, yeah.
Right. A lot of them, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole tricky part. But the fact is the amateur's coming to see me and he's struggling with some of that stuff. I'm going to explain to him where being a control freak comes from. Explain how useless that is. Explain how growth and development is.
Yep.
And then if he's with me, he's going to hit it better. So he's going to come back. So it's like the tough things that I heard growing up. Those are some of the things I still remember.
Yeah.
So, we can't, one of the goals is every day is to, just kind of do your job like you're not trying to keep it. You got to have that freedom.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, dude, you'll attract the right people. And if you attract the right people, because typically we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So, and there's no real science in that. It's just something I feel makes sense. And then over time, because there's a good chemistry and there's honesty, they're going to get better.
Yeah.
And then their friend's going to play with him and go, what happened to you? And he's going to go, oh, I went to Jimmy and Wazinski helped me with my game. New client.
Yep.
That guy's the vice president of a company that has 4 people under him who golfs. Yep. Next thing you know, the company hires you for a corporate day and you make more than you've ever made in a week.
Yeah.
Dude, the possibilities are endless. I've proven it. There's many of us who have proven that you can do it. It's not as easy as some industries, but I mean, how many people I can't imagine many accountants love accounting like I love helping people and watching golf balls fly.
I would agree. Yeah.
Like
it's funny.
It'd be like really, really cool to be Dustin Johnson because he's so good at the game I love so much.
Yep.
And he gets paid a gazillion and he flies to all these beautiful places. I mean, why do you think he never looks upset, bro? Because he knows that.
What's to be upset about? It's perfect.
But some of them forget.
Yeah.
So how funny is this? Some guy named, I can't tell but David, Sean didn't even let me hit a ball for a month, just the backswing.
Explain that.
I know we were probably in Canada into a net and it didn't really matter. It's like, let's get the backswing first.
Love it. Yeah.
I mean, dude, what else is there except the backswing?
Nothing.
Not really.
No, because I mean, the backswing sets up everything.
I remember Jeff Smith told me one time we were at the U.S. Open at where was it? Oakmont. No, before that, I don't remember. There's it's a blur, and it's a total blur. And he said the moment of truth is the 2 inches after transition. And I was like, I like that.
Yep.
Because, Sasha always talked about at a certain point, you can't really apply a force to the club with your hands. You got to do it with your body. Mm-hmm. But why don't you teach people to get into impact in transition rather than it's too hard down there. Yeah. Look at that. It's the sum of all parts. That is now just, that right now is just molecules flying all around, right?
Well, it's kind of what Nicholas said. I try to release the club as soon as I can. I mean, to get in that position.
And Greg Norman said that.
He did. I didn't know Norman said that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and obviously what he figured out is people say, well, he was a right side thrower. I don't know, man. He bombed the ball.
Yeah.
So I think he figured that out because he knew he held on to his lag for too long.
So he had to get it going.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, if you look at the sequence, when something lags, right, it lags behind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like something on purpose. Just the really hard rotators, it's going to go whoop.
Yeah.
So I think that idea, but if you watch the video, you don't really see it.
No, you can't see it at all. It's what they felt. It's what they feel like they're doing. And like I've heard you talk, feel isn't real. So
no,
it's like,
I don't really think lag is. I think as time goes on, like the words plane and lag could be ridden from our. Why talk about plane when you can talk about hand path?
Exactly. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, if you lag the club a ton, it's probably drag on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's drag, you lose all the stretch shorten cycles because everything's narrowing.
Yep.
I mean, look at DJ right now, dude. His arms are away from him, and he looks like he's letting it go so early.
Yeah.
And then he just carries it with rotation and still has lean.
Which is crazy.
So good.
Yeah.
Of course, that guy gets nervous, but it's just that doesn't break down that much.
Which, yeah, I mean, talk about that for a second. I mean, I know we got a few more minutes, but like nervousness. Like, I think there's a misunderstanding. Like, a lot of golfers don't realize too, like how nervous good players still get, and like how they handle it.
Oh well, yeah, but dude, the nerves are. That's the whole thing. It's like nerves are fine. Like it's. Remember, it's the nervous system, right? So what regulates the nervous system?
Breathing.
There's many things, but just you can use that, right? So if I want to optimize the amount of oxygen in red blood cells, I can get nervous. Nervous just basically means that I'm picking up information from the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
It's matching my current perspective in reality. So I now have a chance to win a PGA Tour event, my first time.
Yeah.
Thought about it as a little kid, thought about it all the way up, it's there. It's why they're there, is because of the dream. That's what pushed them through the hard times and the rain and the shit days and the hot days, right?
Yep.
Right? Everyone wants to take a helicopter to the top of Mount Everest and take a selfie, dude. You have to climb that shit. And that a decent chance of dying.
Yeah. But you got to put in the reps. You got to put in the time, and they did. Yeah.
So then when we've decided to climb the mountain, we can't sit at 20,000 feet and bitch about having frostbite. That's a guarantee. So to the players out there, it's like, don't bitch about bad lies. Don't bitch about hitting it out of bounds. You chose to try and be good at this impossible game.
Yep.
And we chose to try and help them with it. So we're even more psycho than they are.
True.
I mean, really, if you look at the game for what it is, dude, the 18th hole of Augusta is through a chute with bunkers right at 295. And then you go to this uphill green. You can't see the hole location. And you're going 460 yards with a ball that barely fits in the hole if it's not going at the right speed. I mean,
it's crazy.
And people like, man, he made a bogey to choke and lose. And it's like, no, I think it's easy to make a 5 on that hole, even if you feel great. So I don't like the word mental. I think if we broke down how people train, if I had a lesson today with Ben and then I saw Danny Willett in the afternoon, he hit so many good shots.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first 15 minutes, if you would think of the iron shots we hit, and we hit 50, we probably would have made 13 bogeys if we measured it.
Okay.
So that's it. Like, I think it's important to be able to point out on the range. Like, I see kids twirl a club to a shot that's come up 10 yards short all the time.
That's a bogey if it's in the bunker.
Well, it just depends on who you are, but for the most part.
Yeah.
So, what if you go onto the range and you have a device to measure it, and I set out to you, okay, Jimmy, here's 100, we're going to hit 80 shots. this first shot has to go 35 yards.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to have a certain launch angle to spin rate. You don't need to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because this ball is going to have to land and spin without spinning backwards or checking forwards. Now, that could be your first shot that you have the first of the day.
Yeah.
It normally takes even good players like 3 or 4 to do that. So I think if you measured every single shot, you wouldn't say, I can't take it from the range of the course. You'd say, I'm not even that good on the range.
Yeah.
Well, now I've written the idea of mental out because I'm not vulnerable to my expectation versus no measurement.
Correct. Because the expectations for so many are so wrong.
Oh, bro, I've been out there before on the range at men's game, and I'm getting up there to hit it, and my swing only works for like 7 to 5 iron. Okay, I can kind of doctor the other stuff, but driver is not my friend. Now I've worked on my swing for 1 hour and 10 years, and then I know all this stuff, so I think I can do it. But the problem is my brain just wants to do what it always does, right?
Yep.
So then I get real bad matchups, and it's like, whoa, that's way out, right? Like,
yep.
Like I'm waiting to I make sure that the kids on their tricycles are not out on the street, bud. So I hit like the first 2 are so bad. Even on the range, I'm like, oh my God, that's so bad. And then I'm like, all right, so if I can feel like I'm hitting up on it 10 and I'm throwing out the angles as early as I can, I hit this beautiful drive, right?
Yeah.
And another one and another one. And the last 2 are, I look like a smaller version of Justin Rose. And I get to the first tee and I'm getting ready to do it. And then all of a sudden I can see the street and I can see the OB left. And I'm like, I think I'm going to aim left and just hold on and slice it in play. So that's the whole thing. If you watch me at those last 2 drives, Jimmy, you'd be like, man, that dude kills it.
Yeah.
I can't do that on the course. I don't even know what to do with that. So
I've been there.
It's just, I think it's important to play like enough to remind yourself that you can't always put your finger on the difference between 32 and 41.
It's true.
And I have some days where I feel like I play so nice and I get done and it's a 77 and I'm like, well, how'd that happen? There's some days I'm literally bleeding out of my eyeballs and I shoot one over and I feel like I've climbed Mount Everest.
You want to take a selfie, yeah.
But that's the thing is people would look at the score and go, ooh, good score. Well, dude, on 8 different drives, if the ball was a foot more right or left, I wouldn't have had a window to the green.
It's a little bit of, that's the luck, right?
100%. There's so much of that. Not if you're like, the Colin Morikawa and those guys. Luck is just making sure that you don't get too outside your number that you want to hit a 7 iron.
Yeah, he is so good.
Love
so
it.
good.
Love it.
It's ridiculous. Do you if I hit this button, do you mind answering a couple questions some guys have maybe?
Sure.
Do we have time? I mean, we'll just pick 1 or 2. I know. I appreciate it. Oh, there we go. Easy question. Did you see that or not?
No.
The gentleman asked, what would you think about under pressure? What would be your last swing thought under pressure? So I don't know if he's talking about to you or to a student or to like a player, but like what should a player's last swing thought be? Should it be mechanics? Should it be a target oriented? Should it be a feel? What would you think? Loaded question.
No, I mean, if I was caddying for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're under pressure, then they're like near the lead or in the lead.
For sure.
So I would say discredit how you feel. You're playing really good.
Yeah.
I mean, what did what else do you say? That's perfect, isn't it? I think that is perfect. But I think that the fact that you're in the lead means you're playing golf very well.
Yeah, and you basically just told them, get the negative thoughts out, focus on how good you're playing because you're in this moment right now for a reason. And you said it in a quicker way. But, yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, so, I mean, if anything, I might say just, make sure that you, make a nice, long, smooth backswing.
Yeah.
Because that's the tendency, right? You get a little bit nervous, you get a little anxious, and then things get quicker and shorter. And I think we apply force to the club too early. Mm-hmm. And then there's your double cross under pressure that looks like a choke, but it's just a mistiming of force, which is then an effect on, then they say, well, the rhythm looked quick there. But no, it's just when they applied what to the ground and to the club.
Yeah, because yeah, and that was more what was going on in their body, like we just said, breathing or how they're thinking and how they're moving because of the moment, more than it was the physical that they choked. It was what they're dealing with.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't really think that they're thinking about rhythm all day anyway. So why under pressure? It's not that, or just, you know, sometimes, I mean, look, it's like Bjorn Borg on the eve of Roger Federer's first final that he won in tennis. He called him and said, "Remember, Roger, pressure is a privilege."
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, look, dude, if that's how you thought about it and you really convinced yourself of that, then when you'd be in it, man, that's a privilege, dude. I'm fortunate to feel like this right now, rather than feeling like it's a bad thing. It's not a good or a bad thing or anything.
Yeah.
So when someone wins a tournament and their hands are shaking on the last hole and they make a 10-footer, those were good nerves. But when they miss it, it's bad nerves. I mean, what's that even mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's how they frame it in their mind. I mean, like what you just said, I mean, it's a privilege to be nervous because everybody else watching, there's 5,000 people around that tennis court. They're not nervous. They're just watching. So just to be in that moment, that's a privilege. I love that. And it just changes the way you're thinking in that moment.
It just feels, look, thinking's not that important, but there's thinking that feels wrong and there's thinking that feels right. Right? Like thinking how much I love my mom and my wife feels good, right?
Yes.
Thinking how much I hate someone feels fucking, it's unnatural to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's plenty of people I could think about all day, but why not, you know, there's like, one is like telling yourself to be grateful. And then there's another one of just feeling pure gratitude. The body understands feelings, right?
Yes.
So hold on there.
No.
So yeah, look, dude, you can focus on what you don't have, or you can focus on what you have.
Yeah. I choose to focus on what we have.
How do you make a rich man spend money? Make him feel poor, right?
Yeah.
So it's to me, it's golf. And the fact is, if a guy's 6 under on his last 8 holes and he's tied for the lead now, probability says a bogey's on the way.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Right? I mean, if the guy's 7 under for the day, but his stroke average for the year is 70.2, there's a bogey on the way. The fact that it happens on 18 when he has a chance to win becomes a whole mental thing where it's like, nah, you know what? Mark Brody would think a bogey was on the way.
Yeah. It's coming. It's just statistics.
You know what? You make a bogey on the 4th hole, the guy loses the Ryder Cup, right?
Yep.
Dude, the team won 15.5 to 13.5 or 14.5, 13.5. So 13.5 other points were lost.
Yeah.
So the guy who lost his singles match, he kind of gets the blame for it, but and I get it. It's sports.
For sure.
But like when they went 0 for 4 in the first morning thing, that didn't help anybody, right?
No, but it's just everybody remembers the end. It's the last guy or what, it's the way it is. I mean, like you just said, if the leader bogeys 18 to lose, okay, he choked. But if he bogeyed the first hole, nobody's saying he choked on the first hole. I mean, it's framing it, I feel like.
Yeah, of course. And so I don't think the narrative matters, dude, right? I don't think having a narrative matters. I try to have few belief systems because I think as soon as you do, you see the world through your belief rather than seeing it through the experience of observation, right?
Yes.
That's important. That's important.
Sean, I appreciate your time.
Not my pleasure.
We're going to post this. And I mean, literally, a lot of teachers look up to you. So to spend time, I know you're busy with your family, and to sit down with some guy that, you know, I'm sitting in my basement, we're talking golf. This is awesome. So I really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure, dude. It was great.
Okay. Thank you so much, and good luck in this year, all right?
All right, man. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, Sean.